you developments on the impact of the coronavirus pandemic on the global, African, and Nigerian economy. Here are the following updates we have at the moment. At the global level, confirmed cases are 3,795,591, while we have 262,741 deaths, with 1,279,400 recoveries. In Africa, confirmed cases are 49,970, with 1,962 deaths and 16,614 recoveries. In Nigeria, the current confirmed cases are 2,950, with 98 deaths and 481 recoveries. We give you the latest stories we have at the moment. The head of the World Health Organization has warned of the risk of returning to lockdown if countries emerging from the pandemic restrictions do not manage transitions extremely carefully and in a phased approach. Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus listed a series of steps needed before countries lift measures designed to control the spread of the COVID-19 respiratory disease, such as surveillance controls and health system preparedness. The risk of returning to lockdown remains very real if countries do not manage the transition extremely carefully and in a phased approach, he said at a virtual briefing in Geneva. He also said that it was not possible to return to business as usual when the pandemic eventually ebbs, stressing the need for investment in health systems. The COVID-19 pandemic will eventually recede, but there can be no going back to the business as usual, he said. Spain has extended the state of emergency imposed to combat the coronavirus pandemic for 2 more weeks from Sunday, allowing the government to control people's movements as it gradually relaxes a national lockdown. Parliament approved the measure after Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, who heads a fragile coalition government, mustered enough. Although the situation is improving, Prime Minister Sanchez says it is necessary to maintain some restrictions on movements to keep the infection at bay. British construction firms should restart work if it is safe to do so in order to help maintain and improve the country's infrastructure, Housing Minister Robert Jenrick said. We want infrastructure and construction work to begin again wherever it's safe to do so, he told reporters in the UK. In the US, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo said that he believes states reopening their economies while seeing growing rates of infections from the novel coronavirus were making a mistake. You have states that are opening where you are still on the incline. Cuomo told a daily briefing, I think that's a mistake. Governor Cuomo of New York has continued to maintain strategies to see how New York, which has been at the epicenter of the spread of coronavirus, recedes this period. In Russia, President Vladimir Putin has said Russia will not rush to lift coronavirus-related restrictions, warning that any haste in removing preventative measures could undo their work so far. President Putin said governors would have the responsibility of deciding how to proceed in their own regions. The country's coronavirus crisis response center said the number of cases had risen by more than 10,000 for a fourth consecutive day and now stood at 165,929. Russia has recorded 1,537 coronavirus-related deaths. In the UK again, the Prime Minister, Mr. Boris Johnson, said his government will set out details of its plan to ease a lockdown against coronavirus on Sunday, hoping that some measures could come into force the next day. According to him, we will of course be setting out the details of that plan on Sunday, while Parliament, after being asked by the opposition Labour Party leader, Keir Starmer, about people returning to work. Prime Minister Johnson, speaking at the Prime Minister's question session, said, the reason for that setting out plan on Sunday is very simple, that we have to be sure that the data is going to support our ability to do this. But that data is coming in continuously over the next few days. We'll want, if we possibly can, to get going with some of these measures by Monday. The European Union forecasts on Wednesday that the Eurozone economy would contract by a staggering 7.7% in 2020, warning the wreckage from the coronavirus pandemic could endanger the single currency. Calling it a recession of historic proportions, the EU executive said the 19-member single currency zone will rebound by 6.3% in 2021, but in a recovery that will be felt unevenly across the continent. The European Commission insisted that without some form of a common rescue plan, the EU project and the single currency could be ripped apart. Such divergence poses a threat to the single market and the euro area, yet it can be mitigated through decisive joint European action, Economic Affairs Commission Paolo Grattiloni said. In Nigeria, at the end of a citizens' dialogue with the Finance, Budget and National Planning Ministry of Nigeria, the representatives of the government gave the following updates. The government expects gross domestic product in Nigeria to contract by 3.5% year-on-year in 2020. Oil earnings is now projected to decline by 90.0% in 2020. Estimated net oil and gas revenue available for Federal Accounts Allocation Committee, FAC, will be distribution is now forecasted 80% lower at 1.1 trillion naira as against 5.5 trillion naira previously, despite a 649 billion reduction in allowable fiscal deductions by the Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation for federally funded projects and expenditures. Specifically, projected petroleum motor spirit under recovery has been reduced from 457 billion naira to zero. Oil production now projected at 1.7 million barrels per day as against 2.18 million barrels per day previously. Oil prices are expected to average $20 per barrel as against the budget benchmark of $57 per barrel initially. Average production cost of Nigerian crude has been revised downward to $28 per barrel from $33 per barrel, with implications for petroleum profit tax. A severe outbreak of COVID-19 in Nigeria could magnify the impact of low oil price and weaker domestic crude production. Customs revenue is now projected at 1.2 trillion naira in 2020 as against the initial 1.5 trillion naira. Amount accruable to the value-added tax pool accounts is now forecasted at 2.0 trillion naira in 2020 as against 2.1 trillion naira initial estimates. Amount accruable to federal accounts now projected at 3.9 trillion naira as against the initial projection of 8.6 trillion naira. Projected federal government receipts from the Federation accounts for 2020 is now put at 2.4 trillion naira compared to 4.8 trillion naira initially. States and local governments are now likely to obtain 2.1 trillion naira and 1.5 trillion naira apiece from the FAC committee compared to 3.3 trillion naira and 2.5 trillion naira respectively in previous estimates. Projected 5.6 trillion naira budget deficit to be financed through privatization proceeds of about 126 billion naira, drawdowns from the FGN special accounts of 260 billion naira, bilateral, multilateral drawdowns of 387 billion naira, and new borrowings of about 4.6 trillion naira. Debt service pressures to be eased by significant moratoriums on new loans. The International Monetary Fund's rapid financial intervention of $3.4 billion comes with 3 years moratorium and expected deferrals of current debt service obligations until macro conditions improve. As part of measures to alleviate the impact of COVID-19, the government has set up an Economic Sustainability Committee to, among others, assess systems vulnerabilities and develop programs that would make the expected recession short-lived and ensure sustainable long-term growth. Measures are underway to strengthen agricultural value chains with straight focus on land acquisition, road networks, and funding. Government also plans to offtake agro products when market conditions are unfavorable. Government is also looking at funding supports for the aviation sector. The president is also likely to decide on land border closures after the current health crisis. Negotiations with neighboring countries have been smooth. Although similar challenges were faced in 2016, Nigeria currently has significantly lower fiscal buffers. In view of the challenges, government has approved the integrated policy framework recommended by the Capital Market Committee and adjustments to the 2020 budget. The Budget Office is finalizing a revised 2020 to 2022 medium-term expenditure framework and strategy paper, as well as an amendment to the 2020 Appropriation Act. And that'll be all for tonight's COVID-19 updates discussed. You can visit our website, www.prosheng.com, to get more updates from our news stories and videos. In this period, ProShare, Nigeria's leading information hub, has continued to provide incisive and reliable and credible information. All you need to do is to log on to www.proshareng.com/COVID-19 to get updates and insights on COVID-19 impact on our economy. You can also follow our social media platforms showing on the screen for further updates on our market reports. Till we come your way again, thank you for watching. Have a nice day and stay safe.